All right, today in this podcast video, whatever you call it, I'm actually just gonna be going over the topic of lead magnets. So the idea started because the other day I had a call with Fitri from 15 Big Dreams where we were discussing a little bit more into how she could actively do email marketing for her business. And we broke things down a little bit more into like what exactly does she wants, how exactly she wants to do it. And we broke down into like different portions of her email list, like where is she getting the traffic from, what lead magnet she's doing, and what has she been doing actively. And the good thing is like she's been very, very consistent in generating content for her email list on a weekly basis, which is pretty good. And those are repurposed from her existing content on IG. So I'm like, okay, content side is down pretty well. I mean, you are doing the things that you should be doing when it comes to email marketing. I think the next question would be like, how do you build up the traffic in there? So, I think full transparency, she has a decent amount, three-figure amount in her email list, and I think it could be brought up a lot more because the thing about email lists is that you can have a small list but still generate quite a lot of revenue. But the only question would be like, how do you create those revenue, right? And I think that's just focusing a little bit more into how the content is written and how the offer is projected um into those copy. But I think that's another topic for another day. So throughout that 1 hour call, I actually discussed with her a little bit more on about lead magnets, right? And what's the point of lead magnets? I think to put it into a short, simple sentence, it's to attract people of a certain kind towards a certain product to get to your email list at the end of the day. So that's my definition of a lead magnet, and I just feel like it acts as a filter into for people who are entering your email list because different kinds of lead magnets attract different kinds of audiences. And if you are able to focus and double down on a specific audience, regardless of your platform, then you are getting like those kinds of audiences into your email list ultimately, right? So I think let me share a little bit of story into coming up with lead magnets. I think the question of like what kind of lead magnet should I be doing, or what kind of stuff that I could be actively promoting comes into the picture. I really have to reflect on this question a lot. So I think back last year, about I think 1 year ago, actually about August, or I think it should be no, I think it's about November last year. I thought of writing an ebook, right? Writing an ebook. It's called The Productive Creator, the first edition. Uh, the objective is actually pretty simple. Like, how do you include productivity as well as becoming a creator on, or AKA a content creator, right? When you're trying to blend those two things together, ultimately it's always talking about the same right thing. Like I think the focus for that ebook was actually more about how you can be productive as a writer, especially monetizing on LinkedIn, running a business on LinkedIn. But it didn't do pretty well. I put a low ticket price. I think it was about $25 or $15. I kind of forget. So the reason why it didn't do well was actually because of this one big reason, and it's called a litmus test. I didn't do a litmus test. So I think let me just write this out here actually. So when it comes to coming up with a specific kind of lead magnet, I really highly suggest people, business owners, founders, freelancers, and all kinds of people who are looking to generate digital revenue. You have to do a litmus test into your audience to ask them specifically like what exactly are they looking for. And oftentimes than not, you'll have your answer there. And if you don't tune in to what your audience wants, ultimately, even though you have a pretty good product in your opinion, I wrote that was an 80-page ebook. I wrote all by hand, 8 different chapters. It didn't do pretty well because I didn't consult my own audience into saying like into asking them like, hey, what kind of stuff do you want to see? What kind of materials, what kind of resources, what kind of knowledge do you want to tap into from my expertise? So that was the first mistake I made. Launched it, zero sales at all, even though I went hard on the promotions and stuff, but it didn't do pretty well. I think I only sold like 3 copies. So that was a failure. a failure which did bring about a strong learning point, which is that before you launch a lead magnet, always, or rather before you start on a lead magnet, always ask your audience into like what exactly they need. So coming back to Fitri's conversation here, she was asking like, okay, I mean, actively she has an existing Instagram checklist. What else can she do? Right? I'm saying like, okay, you've run that for the past 4 years, so why do you want to change it? And her belief was that, oh, it's kind of outdated. I think a lot of people know about Instagram marketing and stuff. Then I just told her straight away. I just said like, hey, the person in front of you in the call doesn't know anything about Instagram marketing. I failed it multiple times. There's a few things I think a lot of business owners tend to have, which is that they have a personal fallacy, a false belief that says like, hey, I think everyone knows about what I'm sharing already, which is not likely the case. It's almost never the case. If that's the case, then I think mathematics would be, demolished. It shouldn't exist because it's common knowledge, right? So, by the same token, whatever information advantage you have in terms of your expertise in your particular industry shouldn't be kept to yourself because of the false belief that everyone knows about it already. I think the same applies to myself when I talk about like how do you write good content. I kept yapping about the same frameworks like PAS, BAB, Thor, all that kind of stuff. But lo and behold, a lot of people are still unaware of it. And I was thinking to myself, like, hey, it still works, it's still applicable because people are still asking me about it. And I thought that those kinds of frameworks don't work. Those kinds of framework don't work as a lead magnet because it's sort of common knowledge. But I realize like a lot of times it's just unlikely to be the case, right? So that's the first step, which is to accept the fact that a lot of people will still ask for your inputs, even though you've been talking about the same thing for years. And I think for Fitri's case, her Instagram checklist has been going on for 4 years. And I think if it still stands true as a lead magnet and people are still opting in, then I don't think there's any reason to not promote it, right? So that's the first step. Then the next step would be like, how do you filter people, right? You have your lead magnet, you've discovered it, you've gone through the litmus test, you have sort of tested with your audience, you've gotten a good amount of audiences into it. The next question would be like, how do you expand? Do you really need an additional lead magnet just to spice things up, right? And this is something, again, you have to do a litmus test. And most of the times, the answer is actually just right inside your audience itself. So you're going to go through another round of litmus tests. So, for example, for Fitri's case, she's been doing social media marketing for years, content strategy specifically for Instagram. And I was thinking, like, okay, she does designs as well. So, why not tap into her past resources that she has? So, for example, it could be like past templates, maybe, or past checklists, maybe how to run an Instagram marketing business, those kind of stuff. She could tap into her processes, just like she could name probably 5 to 10 of them if she really dig deep. Um, just off the top of my head, I think during the call, I actually suggested like, why not do a template pack for Canva templates that she's done for clients, her past clients, and I think it's good that she's aware that she has past resources. That's the first step. The next question will be is to answer the question, does your audience want it? Okay. So that's the thing about it, about lead magnets is that does your audience want it and what's in it for them, right? What kind of value would they get out of it? And this is the subtle filter that you are going to experience whenever you launch a lead magnet. Like for the same offer, for the same core offer that you have, you're going to attract two different people. So I was thinking like, okay, for Fitri's case, if she has an Instagram marketing checklist that she's done, right? That's one lead magnet. That's the first lead magnet that she has. She's going to attract people who are looking to market on Instagram, which is a direct upsell towards the services, which is pretty good, right? It's pretty good upsell. The next question would be like, if she was to offer template packs for, if she was to offer template packs, it could go in one of two ways or even both ways. One of it would be people who are interested to do Instagram marketing, signs up for it, gets their own template pack, and they will repurpose it as much as they want. And then she can easily upsell them in a sequence into, contacting her for a strategy call or nurturing in the email list. That's the first one. The second kind of audience that actually could be tapping into that kind of lead magnet as well are up and coming social media marketing agencies. Like they want to know what has been working for other agencies. So they're going to tap into that, they're going to refine it, and they are going to sell it on their own, which is fine. But you have to be aware that you are going to attract these kinds of people inside your list. And is that wrong? No, not really. The thing about email is what I realize is that it's the same strategy as social media, which is like you're going to attract almost a lot of different kinds of people, but the nuance here is that usually when people opt into an email list, there is a tiny bit of intention to buy. So the question is like how much revenue are you going to leave on the table if you are just going to leave this particular group of audiences in your email list just nurturing every single time? And then you're going to be repeating the same cycle, the same cycle, the same cycle all throughout your social media. Like for example, on LinkedIn, you're going to be posting content every single time. You're posting every single day. You are publishing an article every single week. Then the next thing is like you're going to be rinse and repeat every single time. You're getting a lot of engagement. You're getting a lot of traction. You're getting a lot of impressions, but you're not generating revenue. So what's the point, right? So the same kind of nuance that I always tell people, like on social media, you have to sell. If you're running a business, you have to sell. So sell it to them. Like you're not. It's better to capture a bit of revenue, even if it makes you like what $200 a month. That's going to cover the cost of your email service provider by 10x because I think some of them may actually cost about $20 per month if you're getting it on a monthly basis or a yearly basis. I couldn't exactly remember. So why not tap into that? And who knows, like down the road, you're going to nurture these kinds of people, and eventually it could be a whole vertical in of itself. It's a clear possibility. And you're seeing this a lot lately, especially with the Western creators, which is like, let's say I'm a ghostwriter. I do a lot of ghostwriting services, I do educational email courses. Then the next question would be like, I say I have an email list. People are opting into my email list because I have an email course, lead magnet, that people are actually just opting in to find out more about, my particular expertise. Okay. And if I were to attract people who are not only business owners, but maybe up and coming youths who are looking to explore the world of freelancing as a ghostwriter, am I going to leave that segment of people just sitting in my email list, nurturing every single time and having them unsubscribe because there's nothing of value to them? Obviously not. And this is what a lot of creators do. It's like they are still doing their services, but at the same time, they're expanding into another vertical, which is an educational path. And with an educational path, it just opens up a whole new revenue stream. And then it's kind of the trend you see. Like a lot of creators, successful creators now, they were actually already successful with their businesses. Just that a lot of more people are tuning into the educational side, and the educational side is actually outdoing their services. That's why they're focusing more onto the creator side of things, the course creators, the digital product selling, all this kind of stuff, right? And that's the shift that you need in your business because if you're able to nurture your email list almost every single day, I think that's a golden standard over here. You are going to create passive income almost every single time, right? And that's why you have to understand the nuance that comes with lead magnets, really. And there's so many types of lead magnets that you could do, and each of them serves a different purpose. You can tailor, sort of tailor, I would say, an ebook for two different sets of audiences specific to your niche. You can tailor a cheat sheet specifically for two different set of audiences specific to your niche. Same exact thing. It really comes back down to what is the end goal for your lead magnet. And I just think that for lead magnets, it's the answer is sometimes hidden in plain sight. Like, okay, let's dive deep into like what kind of lead magnets can I do for my business, right? And let's say in conversations, in real life conversations, you have a lot of questions asking you about, oh, what kind of frameworks, how do you write good quality posts on LinkedIn? I keep getting that a lot. And then I realized, actually, I just while talking about this, I just realized that actually that could be a whole new digital product in of itself, right? And I just think like sometimes your answer has just got to do with the conversations you're having, right? If a lot of conversations, a lot of people are asking you a specific thing, like let's say, for my case, it would be like, how do you write good enough LinkedIn content that could, just gain more impressions or something like that? I could just say, well, you could just write in these three frameworks and, you know, yeah, and yeah, like these three frameworks, like PS, BB, Tor, and just teach them on the spot. But that's a one-to-one kind of exchange. So I have had a few of these conversations actually, where I took the time to meet them outside, at a cafe or something, just talk about the same exact thing. Like I say, like, oh, how do you write content? What system go into your content? How do you write content very quickly? And I just told like I was thinking to myself, actually, just recently I was thinking to myself, like, a lot of people are really curious about how I'm able to write content real quick. And that was when I said like to myself, like, okay, you know what? Let me just make the LinkedIn content blueprint, which is an email course to build your LinkedIn content engine in 5 days. That did pretty well. Almost the day I suggested the post, I did my litmus test, 8 leads right off the get-go. So I was like, okay, I gotta build this, give myself time constraint, build it up. And successfully enough, a lot of people are opting in for it. All right, so that's the first step. And yeah, and inside that email course, I actually just highlighted like, here's the copywriting frameworks I did. So sometimes your answer is literally like right in front of your face, or in terms of like the answer to the question that you might have is like, what kind of lead magnet should I have? It's sometimes like hidden in plain sight in a sense that you've been talking about it nonstop with people you meet, just that you didn't monetize it enough. You didn't productize it into a lead magnet of sorts. It could be a low ticket. It could be a free resource for them. Like for example, right now I'm thinking about it. Like I could just make a cheap digital product, probably $25-$50, going over the three frameworks I always go through for my LinkedIn content. It's quite specific because a lot of people are asking. I'm just like, there you go. I could do that, or I could launch templates. Okay. And about the three frameworks, I just launched templates, like the top 30 posts, like 10 posts for each framework, and just sell it as like a $30 package. So $1 per template. Or I could really just dive into like a mini course of sorts. Or I could do an email course of sorts. It really comes back down to like what kind of angle you're gonna go with for your lead magnet, and what kind of angle you're gonna go with for the particular piece of conversation. So let's dive right into like, okay, now you've done the litmus test. So before the litmus test, you have gone through a little bit of reflection phase where you're thinking to yourself, like, what kind of lead magnets can I really think about? Okay. Let's say for graphic designers, it could be Canva. For copywriters, it could be frameworks. For let's think of something outside the niche. Let's talk about solar installation. Solar installation, it could be your um let me think off the top of my head. Solar installation, it could be a solar installation checklist to ensure just to check if your house or your building is ready for solar installation. Or it could be a solar calculator. Yes, it could be a solar calculator. That's another lead magnet in itself, right? And the thing is, if you have those contacts ready, then the next question would be like, okay, how do you structure the lead magnet? And I think this is where the world is really your oyster, because all you have to do is just curate all of the stuff that you've done before. And sometimes it's not just curating, you have to explain it a little bit more in terms of your ways, right? So this is what I do usually when it comes to lead magnets. I always like to narrow things down to five, usually, and this five is covered inside my email course. So off the top of my head, ebooks is one of them. I think it's the most common, it's the most authority building. I don't know why. It's just the nuance with an ebook, which is like, okay, if he writes a book, he's an authority in this. He or she is an authority in this particular topic. But think about it this way: you can spend so many hours writing a book, which is what I did, right? And it still flopped. So you have to ask exactly like, what specific outcomes are you getting out of your book that your audience problems that could solve your audience problems. And this is something you really have to ask yourself, and you have to ask your audience. So this is how I would go about it. Like if I were to redo things from scratch. Let's say I'm going to launch an ebook. Okay. Something about a specific problem that my audience is facing. And based on conversations, it's been about um, uh, who do I speak to? Who is my target audience? Something like that. So here's my litmus test. I'm just going to say like, okay, I'm thinking of writing an ebook, which will help you find your specific LinkedIn audience, which will to aid you in your marketing message. If anyone's interested, just let me know in the comments below. It's easy like that. Just ask. So it has to solve a specific outcome. As with any other products, it has to solve a burning problem. That's how we do it, and depends on the response. I could just carry on with it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least now I know, like, okay, maybe people aren't exactly wasting time on this, so I could just focus on anything else, right? It's like, okay, um, maybe the problem. Usually, the resource itself isn't the issue. The issue here is actually the problem you're looking to solve, like which one is a lot more major to your audience. Like for example, when I talked about another litmus test that I did is an 89 word high conversion LinkedIn post template. That went off right away. I think I got about 20 engagements within the first few hours itself. Got a few people leaving comments that they're interested in it. So I was like, okay, cool, that validated the idea right away. I'm just like, okay, I just had to scroll to my LinkedIn post, find the top post, which generated the most amount of leads, which is actually pretty recent. Just copy paste it, turn it into a template, put it on Google Docs, link it to my ConvertKit form, do a little bit of email sequencing, and there you go. It's like, okay, I actually just built this lead magnet last night, and since a lot of people are asking about it, here you go. Right? And that easily got me like I think as of now, I think that's about 12 people that opted in for that template. Was it 15? I think it was about 15. Yeah. In one day, 15 opt-ins in one day. Imagine that. And imagine you're able to tap into this kind of velocity almost every single day. Right? If you're able to tap into this kind of velocity every single day, it's just do the math here real quick. If you're able to solve 30 different specific problems in 30 different ways just because you want to build up your email list in 1 month, let's just bring it down to a conservative number here. Let's say one day you got 10 opt-ins. In 1 month, you got 300 people inside your email list with the strong intent to buy. And let's say you are actually marketing it quite well. You are going to sell it pretty well, even if with a 1% conversion rate. You just put a little flagship offer and it's going to do pretty well, right? So that's the first step, which is an ebook, right? Do the same thing. When you have an ebook idea in mind, okay, I mean, when you have a conversation or a problem that you could solve at the back of your mind, how do you structure it? Okay, let me think. Ebook, all right. So you're gonna ask your audience, do a litmus test. Okay, I'm going to write an ebook about this problem. Anyone interested? No response, don't get it. But if people are responding, like let's say even if it's just three, you're starting out on your emails, get those three emails, and you're gonna write it down inside. You add it manually because those three people are interested. They are your supporters, and you're not going to leave any more anything on the table, right? So that's the point here. I'm trying to say. Next, cheat sheets. Cheat sheets are very, very common, and you see a lot of cheat sheets come in the form of infographics as well. AI tool stacks. You see that a lot on LinkedIn, right? Like, oh, what's my AI tool stack that you could use? That's a lead magnet. And even though I've seen this a lot, even though the infographic is pasted right there as a form of image, people are still opting in because they want a PDF version of that, which is insane. I actually opted in for one of them, and that's what they did. It's literally just a one page, the same exact image that they use for their LinkedIn post. Is that there's a lead magnet, and people are opting in like crazy. So that really begs the question, like how easy it is to run a lead magnet, especially on LinkedIn. If you built up an audience, you built up consistent posting, consistent supporters on LinkedIn. But the question is, you're not monetizing them. And I think this is your ticket to monetizing your LinkedIn brand, right? If you think about it for a second, if you're able to bring them into your email list, all you have to do is email marketing, and email marketing doesn't have to be that complicated, right? So that's number two, which is cheat sheets. I think number three, if I could recall off the top of my head, is email courses, which is something I like to do a lot of, right? So email courses is, I would say, the biggest asset that you need to have inside your funnel. I say this with a strong bias, and I say this with a strong belief that is perhaps email courses, could be plural, could be singular, is literally the biggest lead magnet that you need to have because it qualifies your audience. Anyone who's entering your email list, it qualifies them. Say, like, for example, it makes you inaccessible in a sense. It brings you up to a higher status position. That's one thing. It puts you up as a thought leader. It's like, okay, you have to go through these 5 days before you can get in contact with me. Right. And not only that, throughout those 5 days, you're value dumping them a lot of stuff. You're teaching them, like, let's say, the five biggest mistakes, like five biggest mistake copywriters make when it comes to finding their first client. You're educating them throughout those 5 days. Like, what's the five biggest mistakes? Okay, then how do you solve them? Right? That's one thing. Another thing is it could be like exactly what I did. LinkedIn content blueprint, how to build a LinkedIn content engine in 5 days. I want people who are going to be interested in my core offer back at the back end, right? So on the front end, I'm just going to tell them, like, this is the steps that you need to take before you actually start monetizing on LinkedIn, right? And you can get as much of that as possible in terms of the education that's going into, yeah, throughout the email course. But for them to survive those 5 days, I like to call it surviving, right? Like, if they unsubscribe from those sequence, then okay, they're not. I don't. At the end of the day, I don't think I want to entertain them if they are, if they are interested in my cause, because they're not willing to sit through. I mean, it's a bit harsh, but it's sort of true, right? If you think about it. And that's why I always say, like, always give an option. Email cost is highly, highly valuable in that sense because if you're looking to filter to the finite details of your email list, then this is the exact resource that you need. Because typically speaking, what you can expect at the end of an email course is that people are more likely to purchase or to engage with you on specific services or products. And that's the trend. You always see it a lot. And with email courses as well, you see a pretty decent opt-in rate, probably about 30% to 70%. 70% if your audience is pretty warm. You've built up like probably a whole few weeks worth of content leading up to that launch. Then 33% is when it's slightly colder, but still warm. It's not that hot yet, right? And that's exactly my opt-in rate actually, which is about 33.3%. It's one third of people are opting in. Versus if I were to say, like, oh, opt in for my newsletter, which is probably about 1%. Way less than that. Yeah, you're getting lots of visitors by volume, but what's the point? Because they're not getting anything tangible out of it immediately, right? So email courses, qualifying people entering your email list, educating them to be buyers. 5 days, and then you follow up with a 3 or 7 day follow-up sequence, FOMO sequence. You just say, like, hey, you got this email exclusive offer, only limited for the next 7 days after your graduation. Can use this code. Then you can upsell them, like inside the checkout page on Stripe or whatever. You say you can buy this for $35. Then since you bought this, you might be interested in this. It costs $25. And you might be interested in this. My 30 templates, it's $30. So your whole average order value the AOV, right? The average order value per customer that actually went through your email list, went through your email course, actually rises up because of this very fact. And it's a one-time plug and play kind of thing. Okay, so that's the third one, email courses. Then the next one, four, templates. My favorite one because it's easily implementable. Quite straightforward. Just take a look at the past best performing templates that you've used, maybe like past client works or something like that, and just say, like, hey, I just gathered like about 10 LinkedIn carousel templates which you might be interested in. Anyone interested? Okay, guys, opt right in. It's just curating past works and recycling them for a much better use instead of letting them waste in your archives. And from that you can generate a bit more revenue. You can say, like, oh, all right, since you like the 10 templates that I've made, I think you might be interested in my list of 30 that I've used for my past clients, and this costs $20 because the 10 got it for free, right? Like, okay, then that amount of opt-in is probably quite high because you're getting 10 templates, probably like gonna be quite sky high actually. I think for my free template, I'm getting about 60% opt-in rate. So if 100 people visits, that's about 60 people that will opt in. Then of those 60 people, I think if you are able to give 10 pretty good templates, and $20 is really just an impulse buy. I mean, meals now cost about $15 per meal now, and so what is $20, right? And let's say you're able to get 50% of those 60 people who are buying those templates, right, which is 30 people. So 30 people purchasing at $20, that's $600 you get just like that from one lead magnet. And one lead magnet took you about what, 15 minutes to get up? It's crazy. It's crazy stuff and it's crazy work. That's what you should be doing if you're looking to market your email list, which is think about a lead magnet and work things out backwards. What do people actually want and how can you monetize off of it? Okay. So that's for the fifth one. If I could recall, the fifth one, mini courses. I think mini courses is one. So mini courses is something is a digital product. It's a self-paced mini course, something like a crash course like that. It could be a video. It could be a podcast where you're talking about the A to Z of something. And there's a mini course people can opt in and just say like with a simple marketing message saying like, hey, um I'm thinking of doing a mini course to build your AI content engine for LinkedIn. And it's probably going to be about 45 minutes. But by the end of it, it's going to be a walkthrough on how you can monetize or how you could build a LinkedIn content engine in 45 minutes. Anyone interested? Then there you go. You just validate it. It's just like, oh, okay, people are interested. Okay, I'm going to opt right in. Then probably get a few more lead magnets. And again, same sequence. Just ask your audience first. Ask your audience first. If you don't know, if you can't reflect on past conversations, ask your audience first. Seriously, that's your answer. Your audience is your answer. The answer is in your audience. And most times they are there. It's just you just haven't tapped right into the pain point. And you see this a lot, actually, which is like there's a lot of lurkers on LinkedIn. That's one thing. And I actually have a lot of conversions from people who are not like engaging with my content. They are not engaging with my content. They're not commenting. They're just there, right? I mean, I can take a look at my kit, my convert kit dashboard and just say like, who is this? I always ask myself like, who is this person? Like, this is up to it. I'm like, that's the point. You are giving them access into your email list, and inside your email list is where you can communicate with them directly. I think that's the end goal for almost all lead magnets, which is like to build up your email list, and it's statistically shown. You can just Google this literally. Email list has a conversion rate of 20%. 20% conversion rate versus social media, and social media converts at about what, 5-10% max. And that comes with like very consistent marketing message that you have to do and on end, and you have to engage all of the time. But inside your email list is very minimal. You probably take about 15 minutes to write the post. And if you have a VA like what Feature has, and it doesn't take up a lot of the time because they're using past resources as the evergreen newsletters to sell. And really, it's not that difficult if you think about it to how you can come up with lead magnets. Because at the end of the day, right, every product that you put out there for your audience has to sell. And how do you sell it is it has to solve a specific problem. However, I think my mentor, Rushdie Rosali, actually mentioned to me just earlier, is like, do not overpower your audience in terms of the features or the benefits. You have to communicate it to them. So I was thinking to myself, like, interesting. So how exactly am I going to do that, right? Um, there's just something for me to think about a lot because if I've been ghostwriting email courses, I think up to now I've done five, I think about five email courses. So how am I able to communicate that kind of notion that this is not overwhelming? You're gonna get it step by step. You're gonna guide you through, and it's gonna be highly valuable. It's something for me to think about, really. All right. So I think that sort of sums up the conversation on lead magnets and how to find lead magnets. I think that's quite a long conversation. I really enjoyed this topic a lot when speaking with Fitri because I'm glad to see that she's moving into email marketing. I think she has a lot of potential. Everyone has a lot of potential with email marketing. It's like another 20% of revenue that they haven't tapped in yet. Like, seriously, even if it's just a list of 20 people, a list of 10 people, a list of 100 people, you should do email marketing. And you should always find a way to build up your email list, at least, even big if you're actively doing workshops. I think this is also a quick shout out to a lot of people that I know who are running workshops, right? On a fortnightly basis, like every 2 weeks, which is, you have 20 people signing up for the workshop. Are you collecting the emails? If yes, then where do you put those emails? Is it just somewhere? Somewhere. I know a lot of people, they collect emails, but they're not doing anything with it. So why not just tap into it, right? And they've been doing tons and tons of workshops throughout the year, high value workshops as well. So something that you have to think about, which is like, okay, you've gone through the workshop, you've conducted the workshops. Let's say this one workshop has 20 people. You can just promote something. Like if people are opting in or rather signing up for the workshop because they're getting like say off the top of my head, let's say they opt in for a personal branding workshop, the QR code or the opt-in could be let's say the market is people who are new to LinkedIn branding, personal branding. The opt-in could be a prompt to come up with their LinkedIn headline, their LinkedIn banner, um, the statement, the about section, the suggested featured posts, all this kind of stuff. I just got the idea. I might be doing that for my next one, but yeah, and you promote this at the end of the workshop because people are attending it to build their personal brand. This is sort of a no-brainer for them. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get everything answered for me in just one prompt. I just have to copy paste, put my business, and that's it, right? It's very easy for them. It's very easy for them, but it's highly valuable because it solves a lot of the problem of profile optimization. It's literally a no-brainer, and that's all you got to do to really get opt-ins into your email marketing, and that's it, really. And once that's down, right, that's a pretty valuable lead magnet, and you can do this end to end every single time. Let's say you're doing one workshop every month, probably about 20, 30 people, probably 30 people from every single month just from one workshop. I think it's literally a no-brainer if you are able to do this. And the thing is, if a lead magnet works very well, don't change it. Why do you have to change it? It works. You're still getting consistent results. The next thing is like how do you scale up the amount of opt-ins, which is like, okay, let's say for a workshop, how do you scale the amount of opt-ins? Let's say instead of 30 people, you're gonna teach or you're gonna hold a workshop for 50 people. That's another 50 workshops that you can do. Or instead of doing it every month, you can do it every 2 weeks. It works as well. So these are the kind of factors that actually comes into how you can play out your lead magnets. And this is definitely something that you need to double down on when you're looking to build your email list. And to be honest, the easiest way I would say is like just start with something. Or if you want in, I could definitely teach you how you could build a lead magnet through one of the portions from my email course, which is a lead magnet consultant. So once you opt in for my email course, link in the bio, link in the description below, which is basically you're gonna build a LinkedIn content engine in 5 days, right? Then at the end of it, I'm gonna sell you something which is known as the content engine workflow, which is the exact workflow that I do for all my clients. And one portion of it is the lead magnet consultant, where you can just put in details of the business. Then it will suggest a bunch of lead magnets that's relevant to it, that solves a specific burning problem that your audience has. And this is something that you definitely need for your business to build a full funnel strategy when you're looking to run a successful and productive LinkedIn content engine. So, link in the description below. You can just sign right up. So, yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to lead magnets. Just push through the answers in your audience. I think I should make that into a shirt. I it's such a nice quote, but yeah. Hope that helps. Subscribe, comment below. Let me know what you think. As always, happy to help.